The Armorer's Challenge by Mimophonus. 300 years ago, when Kataria became empress, the first and only Dunmer to rule all of Tamriel, she faced opposition from the Imperial Council. Even after she convinced them that she would be the best regent to rule the empire while her husband Pelagius sought treatment for his madness, there was still conflict. In particular from the Duke of Vengetto, Thane Minglemier, who took a particular delight in exposing all of the Empress's lack of practical knowledge. In this particular instance, Kataria and the council were discussing the unrest in Blackmarsh and the massacre of Imperial troops outside the village of Armanius. The sodden swampland and the sweltering climate, particular in the summertide, would endanger the troops if they wore their usual armor. "I know a very clever armorer," said Kataria. "His name is Hazadur, an Argonian who knows the environments our army will be facing. I knew him in Vivek, where he was a slave to the master armorer there, before he moved to the Imperial City as a freed man. We should have him design armor and weaponry for the campaign." Minglemier gave a short, barking laugh. "She wants a slave to design the armor and weaponry for our troops. Cerulus Sacus is the finest armor in the Imperial City. Everyone knows that." After much debate, it was finally decided to have both armorers contend for the commission. The council also elected two champions of equal power and prowess, Nandor Braid and Raphaelis Il, to battle using the arms and armaments of the real competitors in the struggle. Whichever champion won, the armorer who supplied him would earn the imperial commission. It was decided that Braid would be outfitted by Hazadur and Il by Sacus. The fight was scheduled to commence in 7 days. Cerulus Sacus began work immediately. He would have preferred more time, but he recognized the nature of the test. The situation in Armanias was urgent. The Empire had to select their armorer quickly, and when selected, the preferred armorer had to act swiftly and produce the finest armor and weaponry for the Imperial army in the Black Marsh. It wasn't just the best armor they were looking for, it was the most efficient. Sacus had only begun steaming the half-inch strips of black virgin oak to bend into bands for the flanges of the armor joints when there was a knock at his door. His assistant, Vandius, ushered in the visitor. It was a tall reptilian of common markings, a dull green fringed hood, bright black eyes, and a dull brown cloak. It was Hazadur, Kataria's preferred armorer. "I wanted to wish you the best of luck on the... Is that ebony?" It was indeed. Sacus had bought the finest quality ebony weave available in the Imperial City as soon as he heard of the competition and had begun the process of smelting it. Normally it was a 6-month procedure refining the ore, but he hoped that a massive convection oven stoked by white flames born of magicka would shorten the operation to 3 days. Sacus proudly pointed out the other advancement in his armory, the acidic lime pulls to sharpen the blade of the dai katana to an unimaginable degree of sharpness, the akavuri forge and tongs he would use to fold the ebony back and forth upon itself. Hazadur laughed. "Have you been to my armory? It's 2 tiny smoke-filled rooms. The front is the shop. The back is filled with broken armor, some hammers, and a forge. That's it. That's your competition for the millions of gold in Imperial Commission." "I'm sure the Empress has some reason to trust you to outfit her troops," said Cerulus Sacus kindly. He had, after all, seen the shop and knew that what Hazadur said was true. It was a pathetic workshop in the slums, fit only for the lowliest of adventurers to get their iron daggers and cuirasses repaired. Sacus had decided to make the best quality regardless of the inferiority of his rival. It was his way and how he became the best armorer in the Imperial City. Out of kindness and more than a bit of pride, Sacus showed Hazadur how, by contrast, things would be done in a real professional armory. The Argonian acted as an apprentice to Sacus, helping him refine the ebony ore and to pound it and fold it when it cooled. Over the next several days, they worked together to create a beautiful daikatana with an edge honed sharp enough to trim a mosquito's eyebrows, enchanted with flames along its length by one of the imperial battle mages, as well as a suit of armor of bound wood, leather, silver, and ebony to resist the winds of Oblivion. On the day of battle, Sakis, Hazadar, and Thandius finished polishing the armor and brought in Raphelias Uul for the fitting. Hazadar left only then, realizing that Nandor Baraid would be at his shop shortly to be outfitted. The two warriors met before the Empress and Imperial Council in the arena, which had been flooded slightly to simulate the swampy conditions of Black Marsh. From the moment Sakis saw Uul in his suit of heavy ebony and blazing daikatana, and Baraid in his collection of dusty, rusted lizard scales and spear from Hazadar's shop, he knew who would win, and he was right. The first blow from the daikatana lodged in Baraid's soft shield, as there was no metal trim to deflect it. Before Uul could pull his sword back, Baraid let go of the now flaming shield still stuck on the sword, and poked at the joints of Uul's ebony armor with his spear. Uul finally retrieved his sword from the ruined shield and slashed at Baraid, but his light armor was scaled and angled, and the attacks rolled off into the water, extinguishing the daikatana's flames. When Baraid struck at Uul's feet, he fell into the churned mud and was unable to move. The Empress, out of mercy, called a victor. Hazadar received the commission, and thanks to his knowledge of Argonian battle tactics and weaponry and how best to combat them, he designed implements of war that brought down the insurrection of Armanius. Kataria won the respect of the council, and even grudgingly that of Thane Mingulimea. Sorella Sekis went to Marwyn to learn what Hazadar learned there, and was never heard from again.